Welcome to the third flipped classroom lesson. Today we're working on Springboard page 203. We're going to be looking at what is a tragic hero. We're going to apply the concept of the tragic hero according to Aristotle's definition, and we're going to apply it to Okonkwo, our main character in Things Fall Apart. But first we're going to look at a short PowerPoint that explains what is a tragic hero. Well, first thing, the tragic hero's background. Aristotle says, a man cannot become a hero until he can see the root of his own downfall. The tragic hero is a man of noble stature. He is not an ordinary man, but a man with outstanding quality and greatness about him. His own destruction is for a greater cause or principle. So, the characteristics of a tragic hero. The first trait, according to Aristotle, is that the tragic hero is born of noble birth. They are typically a king or member of the royal family, or someone that normal people would look up to or admire as having outstanding qualities. So, for example, in Things Fall Apart, Okonkwo does have a few good traits. Mainly, he is a hard worker and wants to earn the respect and take care of his tribe. They're imperfect, or they're human despite their noble nature. So they have outstanding qualities or greatness, but we got to identify them. We don't want them to think they're too perfect. Without imperfections, the downfall would seem improbable or caused by fate alone. So like I said, even though he's a hard worker, he also has a terrible temper and can be cruel to his wives and children. For Romeo, who is also another character that we could look at as an example of a tragic hero, he's a loyal friend, but he's also quick-tempered. The next trait of a tragic hero is that they possess a fatal flaw. This is also called a hamartia. The traditional fatal flaw is hubris or excessive pride. The flaw ultimately leads to the hero's downfall, often death. We've already discussed what Okonkwo's main problem is, and that is his temper and violent outbursts. Romeo's tragic flaw is his impulsive behavior. He's impulsive when he decides to marry Juliet, when he kills Tybalt, and then ultimately when he makes the decision to kill himself. He doesn't take the time to think out his actions. The third trait is that the hero usually goes on a journey. Often this journey is part of the consequences for the hero's downfall, or their hamartia. The journey can also be an illustration for the hero's potential for good or bad. So just like in Romeo and Juliet, when Romeo is exiled from Verona after killing Tybalt, Okonkwo is exiled to his motherland for killing the son of one of the tribesmen. They also have a large capacity for suffering, or they suffer more than they deserve. The downfall or death is usually seen as a waste of a human potential. Suffering always has greater meaning, often related to the flaw. So Okonkwo suffers throughout the story with his shyness, with his fear of being like his father, about when Ikemefuna is being killed and he doesn't want to appear weak. And just like Okonkwo, Romeo is always depressed and complaining about his Rosalind and about Juliet, and they're being from two different families. And so both of those characters are examples of tragic heroes. The last trait is that the downfall is preceded by self-realization. Either the audience or the hero realizes their mistake, but they know that he's doomed regardless. Audience feels pity for the hero because the flaw is not his fault, so downfall seems undeserved. The audience feels fear because they can identify with the hero's thoughts and actions. Now, Okonkwo doesn't seem like he's a victim of his flaw, that he does have some control over his temper and his outbursts, but the extreme circumstances that lead to him being exiled and what happens when he comes back from exile do seem to be not his fault. And we'll get more into that later. Romeo's moment of realization is when he tries to avoid fighting Tybalt, but he gets drawn into it anyway when Mercutio is killed. So now we need to turn to Springboard page 202, and you're going to complete the middle column in your book or on a separate piece of paper. Most of the answers for this chart were mentioned in this recording, so if you want to go back and re-listen to it, you can. In your Springboard book, the Aristotle's definition of a tragic hero are already filled out for you. To participate in tomorrow's in-class assignment, this will need to be completed prior to your arrival in class. All right, we'll see you tomorrow.